Hey guys, Gavin Uranium here. Today is September 17th, 2021. Exactly a year ago, I left the country balls and mapping communities, uploaded a video on my main channel explaining that, and deleted all mapping and country balls videos from there, moving all of them onto this channel and then unlisting almost everything. Now it's been exactly 1 year, exactly 365 days. What has changed? How am I doing now? I guess to sum everything up, I wanted to make a video about that. So here it is, please enjoy. I joined the Country Balls community as a Country Balls speed artist in 2017 and the mapping community as a Country Balls mapper in 2018. Because of these two types of videos, I gained more than 2K subscribers and hundreds of thousands of views. Throughout this period in time, I produced a total of 40 Country Balls speed arts, including 5 minis and 3 deleted speed arts, and 12 mapping videos, including a series of 9 episodes, 1 unreleased episode, and 2 videos not related to the series. I thought that, wow, many people in these communities are amazing, and I wanted to be cool, to be part of them. So I stayed in them. I stayed in these communities beginning from the year I was 14 and ending in the year I was 17. Around the age of 16, I thought that making country balls was too tiring and distracting for my channel, as I originally intended for it to be a music channel. But now, my country balls videos and mapping videos were receiving the majority of attention, yet my music videos, almost nobody notices them. This only goes on to show that the people who watched my country balls and mapping videos did not care for me. They weren't concerned for me and the content I wanted to deliver to my audience, my subscribers. They subscribe for the content they want me to produce, not the content I want to produce. And I can't say that they're wrong or blaming on them is not their fault, really. I thought I needed to do something. So near the end of 2019, I was having serious thoughts of quitting the mapping of country balls communities. These thoughts and ideas cemented in 2020, and I officially quit on September 17. I cannot say that my experience in the country balls and mapping communities are absolutely good or absolutely bad. Of course, I had a fair share of both, but it was the increase in the amount of bad that caused me to quit. Good things were mostly that I made friends who shared about the same interests, to know more about the histories and cultures of countries around the world, and to share about the history and culture that we belong to. Bad things include the amount of offensive things that were racially and nationally targeting, for example towards my country, China. That's very heavy, especially in the mapping community. For some reason, the country balls and mapping communities, whenever I say I come from China, people will turn things political and say things discriminating my country and my race based on solely the fact that I come from China. Many of these things they say aren't even completely true or completely false. People really have this idea that China is evil, China is committing atrocities and things, when really, China isn't. I know some people are misled and genuinely don't know that the actual truth is different from what they've been hearing, while some are simply selectively blind and plainly xenophobic. They find fun in insulting Chinese people and shit, which I take very deep offense and I take extremely personally. They are personally targeting me and I certainly don't like that. And it's very heavy, very frequent, so frequent that it began to affect my mental health, and I cemented the idea of quitting. Of course, not everyone is like that. There are indeed many friends that I made in the country balls and mapping communities, some of whom I keep in contact with even months after leaving the two communities. Other than the heavily politicized nature of the two communities, which honestly can't be blamed on them, as countries and maps are closely tied to politics, history, and cultures and disputes, etc. There are other forms of toxicity in these two communities too. Many people create mini mapping factions which go to war frequently, to the extent of raiding and nuking Discord servers, hacking and doxing personal information, etc. I never expected that to happen to a server that I was in more than 11 months after I left the two communities. Yes, it happened very recently, and I'll explain in later sections. And there are also these anti-mappers, like bad mappers whose extent is to basically terrorize and destroy the mapping community. They definitely suck. Besides these and the fact that people don't care about my music videos on my channel, there are other side reasons, but those mentioned above are the main reasons why I left and decided to not come back. So, what happened after I left? Right after I left, I deleted all my mapping and country balls videos from my main channel and uploaded them onto an archive channel here. That caused the deletion of hundreds of thousands of views, including my most viewed video, which was my first ever country ball speed art. I do not regret it. After that, my most viewed video had less than 10k views, and it took me months to finally get a video above that. I also told old subscribers to unsubscribe if they are no longer interested in my new non-country balls content. However, only 100 of my 2.3 subscribers did so. Others remain as dormant channels, like dead accounts that I call ghost subscribers. Those subscribe to my channel but not interested in my content, and not giving them views, making my videos fall into algorithm hell. It really made my channel quite shit in terms of views, most videos gaining only a 2-digit view count in the first 48 hours, and losing momentum at 100 to 200 views. Not even a tenth of my sub count. As for Discord, I initially stayed in a few servers like those belonging to mappers who were my personal friends, and also servers belonging to Polish owners like Polish Tortoise and Taco Boy, as I was and still am learning the Polish language, making Polish my third most fluent language after my native Chinese and L2 English. However, later I quit them too, as I could not handle the amount of xenophobia in there, as well as the other reasons which I will explain in the later section. And also, as mentioned in an earlier part of this video, I still kept in contact with friends that I made in the country balls and mapping communities. I also, surprisingly, influenced a few friends to quit country balls and mapping. Now, after quitting, I initially only uploaded music videos and reaction videos that gained little views, very insignificant. During that period, I kept on acting as if I had faith in my subscribers, and that they will magically watch my videos and bring me more views to try to get myself out of algorithm hell. I presented myself to the audience in my best way possible, but too few of my subscribers were interested in my content. It wasn't working. Fucking hell. Those stubborn 2k leeches who are no longer interested in my content and refuse to unsubscribe. It was really a pain in my ass, but the good thing is, I need not get my mental health affected again by a bunch of people who racially and politically discriminate against me based on my place of birth. At the same time, while making music videos and reaction videos, I also started another type of videos in my reaction series. If you have been paying attention to my channel, Gavin Uranium, then you guys would know that I discovered a new community in May 2020. It was the gacha community. I had taken notice of it months before I quit mapping and country balls. I became actively involved in the gacha community since October 2020 and began to upload reaction videos to gacha mini movies on my channel. It started off plain and did not gain many views. But what did I gain? Well, it has something to do with me joining the Discord server belonging to Rosie Closey, one of the biggest gacha tubers at the time, and the biggest gacha tuber as of today. She's the creator of the popular gacha series, The Music Freaks. I made some friends who added me to their friends group, and hey, I stayed friends with them for many months. They've become my best friends and my family. In general, the people in the server, as well as many other gacha servers, are extremely friendly, open-minded, and funny. What's even better, people don't talk about political things that may stir up drama in an environment meant to be apolitical. I can tell everyone that I'm from China and they're completely fine and cool with it, and willing to be my friends. Many of them are very innocent and have pure souls, which I'm really touched by. Contrasting this to the country balls community, and more especially the mapping community, where there is a lot of aggressiveness, political discrimination and stuff, as well as the discrimination against the LGBT community, which is very common in the mapping community, opposite of the gacha community, where everyone seems to accept it, and which is also where I discovered that I myself am LGBT. The average age at which people discover they're LGBT is 11 or 12, and I discovered that I am when I was 17 that helped me answer a lot of questions and weird things in life. I'm asexual and sex repulsed, which explains why I don't see most sex jokes as funny, and besides that, I also have a different sense of humor from those around me. I simply don't have sex in my mind all day, and the space that is supposed to be occupied by sexual thoughts, I fill it up with other thoughts like fascination for languages and cultures of the world, music, etc. Many mapping community members usually discriminate against and make fun of LGBT people, using slurs and stuff to say, for example, when something bad, it's gay. So yeah, they make fun of gays because they're attracted of people of the same gender, which to them is something not normal and something that should be laughed at. They make fun of trans people because they don't identify with the gender they're born as. They also see it as something not normal and should be laughed at. And they also make fun of asexuals because we don't have sex drive. Acephobia exists, the phobia against people who will never have sex with you. Those kinds of people are all over the mapping community. Whereas in the gacha community, no, there isn't. And in the mapping community, there seems to be a lot of anti-gacha sentiment. I witnessed such things with my own eyes in the Polish Torrent server, where the anti-gacha situation became so heavy that the mods had to step in and tell the people that if they don't like gacha, at least they don't disrespect or attack people who do, which got the server members chaotic as they did not want to follow the mods' instructions. I left the server during the chaos and never went back. It was just too chaotic, and I slowly started to quit all mapping servers out of fear of being dragged into this kind of mess again. Not only was I quitting mapping servers, I was trying to disassociate myself from any references of mapping and country ball speed art. By disassociating, I did many things to conceal my traces and hints. I unlisted all the mapping and country balls videos on this archive channel as they began to gain more views than my music videos on my main channel. I was telling people to not subscribe to this archive channel by changing the channel name and icon. I also went on mapping wiki pages to erase pages with any reference to my old mapping series, during the process of which my IP address got blocked from one of the wikis after deleting the content on my page. Yeah, I got accused of vandalizing my own page and I had to contact other mods of that particular wiki on New Year's Eve before 2021 to get it removed and myself unblocked. However, I did not completely erase all traces of myself being an ex-mapper and country balls artist. The traces I left were to make it hard to discover any traces of me ever doing country balls or mapping. Because, as I repeatedly emphasized, the continued association of me with country balls and mapping evokes painful memories that I would not want to bring up anymore. Memories of me being personally targeted and discriminated against for my background. It was really shit of an experience. In March 2021, I implemented a new set of rules in my server that was meant to crack down on country balls and mapping, banning them from my server. Any mentions of that will no longer be allowed, and if a member mentions it too much, I will mark them as spam and warn the member. However, in July, my server got nuked and I had to start new. My server for 4 years that had existed since 2017. A new server was created, but it was never the same again. However, I reinforced the rule shortly before I uploaded this video and made it extend indefinitely with no expiry date. And my story continues. It doesn't simply end here, just that the contrast between the communities I was in and am in is so big, so different, so shocking. The mapping and country balls communities filled with hate, divide, politics, discrimination, internal conflicts, nuking of Discord servers, misunderstandings, warring factions, LGBT phobia, racism, xenophobia, etc. But the gacha community, positivity, acceptance, love, friendliness, togetherness, united, fun, and the memories made are just so... I can't find a word to describe them. They are irreplaceable and makes you want to stay forever. Well, sure. The gacha community does contain toxicity and inappropriate content and a lot of negative things. I can't deny this. Sexual content you create using gacha apps are a huge problem and a parasite to our community, especially how people outside the community view it. I was wondering if I was recommended the inappropriate content first, like a lot of people, I would probably also have generalized it to the rest of the gacha community, which is innocent and healthy. And I wouldn't be the person I am today, which would more likely be for worse than for better. That's like how many outsiders wrongly perceive us. But the mapping community has a fair share of toxicity too. They've got anti-mappers, bat mappers, different warring factions that keep raiding and nuking each other, and even spreading the fire to former mappers and non-mappers. My friend Melodic Animations, who was a former mapper just like myself, got scammed and his server taken over by some anti-mappers just last month. And many problems, as mentioned in before, discrimination such as anti-LGBT, racism, religionism, xenophobia, most notably Sinophobia, Islamophobia, anti-black, anti-Asian, anti-Jewish sentiment, is most prominent in many mapping servers, and their owners, their mods and owners don't do anything. They claim that most of these people aren't unironically racist and only do such things for fun or for memeing around. Yet their server's rules claim to follow the Discord TOS. Unironic? I don't think so. They're like allowing the server members to think that it's okay and acceptable to use such racist slurs and derogatory terms that are used against certain races and sexual orientations, as long as they themselves aren't truly racist, which is fucking wrong in so many levels, and which exists in huge servers like the server belonging to the currently most subscribed mapper Husabi Productions, according to a friend who sent me screenshots as proof. And using an alt account, I went into Spy and found out that some people who were active in the server are in fact people who raided and nuked 2 Discord servers I own. These people are the same people who have harassed and bullied my best friend, started a huge dislike and hate comment campaign against her, and when I spoke up for her, I myself was turned into their target. They shamelessly make hate videos that are discriminatory against me, and also fake videos accusing me of acts that I've never done. But why? Why would they be thinking of such things? Where have I seen this tactic before? Oh, I know. They themselves have probably done such acts and can't lift their heads up, so they accuse me of such disgusting deeds. Not surprised, I must say. They have no face, so they come to the mapping servers, which are the places that are already fucked up enough and create more trouble. If only these people could be dealt with by the law and thrown in juveniles or in jail. It's wild. At this point, I don't know what I want to continue writing. Like, to be completely honest, I've changed a lot before, when, and after I left mapping and country balls. Summing it up, I had both positive experiences and negative, but near the end, the negative was outweighing the positive. I had to quit for the better, and I do not regret that decision at all. I have indeed become a better person by leaving the mapping and country balls communities. I've moved on, and I pretty much changed completely. Although my passion for music has never died, I love creating the content that I'm creating, and I certainly will continue. Let this video serve as a visit that I paid to my old communities that once housed me, and as proof that I kept my word of coming back and visiting the mapping community often. Now, with all that conveyed, I've kinda completed the unfinished history of me in the mapping and country balls communities for myself. Sometimes it's best to let history remain history and not repeat itself. Anyways, it was nice to pay a visit back to you guys and let you guys know of how I've been doing after leaving. I know like half the script was bullshit or repetition, but whatever. If you want to know more about me, my music, my other content, etc., please visit my channel, link in the description below. Thank you all for watching. A final friendly reminder here to not to subscribe to this channel, as it's an archive channel that doesn't produce new content. That's about it for this video, and I bid you all farewell.